Good evening, everyone. Let's have a minute of silence before we start the program. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Brahmakumaris Center here at Farmers Branch. We're all gathered here for a very special day, International Women's Day, uniting for women empowerment. A woman's strength lies in her ability to uplift everyone. She is empowered when she serves with an altruistic heart. Every time a woman stands up for herself, she stands up for everyone. On behalf of the Brahmakumaris organization and our dear sister Center Coordinator, Sister Ranjan, I welcome Honorable Judge of Dallas County, Mr. Clay Jenkins. Welcome. Honorable President of United Nations, Miss Evelyn Pace. Honorable Almas Muscatbala, community leader and co-founder of Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. Honorable Tatiana Androsova, writer and author, representative of Thanksgiving Foundation. Honorable Bill Matthew and Honorable Norma Matthew. Honorable Linda Evans, awardee of 2016 Peace Legacy Lifetime Achievement Award. Honorable John Calcanley, Advocacy Chair on the Board of UNA Dallas. Honorable Sheriff Marion Brown. And a very, very warm welcome to all the brothers and sisters who are here with us. Thank you for taking the time to be here with us. We're going to have a good time this evening. So let's start today's program with a small video message by UN Secretary General, Mr. Antonio Guterres.
On International Women's Day, we celebrate women and girls around the world, and we applaud all they have achieved in the fight for equality. Women and girls have made great gains, demolishing barriers, dismantling stereotypes, and driving progress towards a more just and equal world. Yet they face immense obstacles. Billions of women and girls face marginalization, injustice and discrimination, while the persistent epidemic of violence against women disgraces humanity. Our world still reflects millennia of male-dominated power relations. And progress is under attack with a fierce backlash against women's rights. At our current rate, legal equality is some 300 years away. We must move much faster. On International Women's Day, we stand with women and girls fighting for their rights, and we commit to accelerating progress. This year's theme, Invest in Women, reminds us that ending the patriarchy requires money on the table. We must support women's organizations on the front line. And we must invest in programs to end violence against women and drive women's inclusion and leadership in economies, digital technologies, peace building, and climate action. This all depends on unlocking finance for sustainable development so that countries have funds available to invest in women and girls. We also need to increase the number of women leaders in business, finance, central banks, and finance ministries. This can help drive investments in policies and programs that respond to women and girls' needs. Women's rights are a proven path to fair, peaceful, prosperous societies. It is good for us all. Together, let's take urgent action to make it a reality, and I thank you.
Beautiful message by Secretary General. Now we're going to have a small video celebrating women. It's a video on women celebrating women. We're going to watch one more video, the Brahmakumaris with the UNA. It's a small message. Okay, our next program for the evening is an angel dance by Pari. Pari, can you please come on the stage?
Everybody wants, every one of us needs. I got wings on my back and I'm ready to leave. There is love in my heart that will help me to start my journey to within. With faith I must begin. Everybody wants, every one of us needs. I got wings on my back and I'm ready to leave. Heart of my soul wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. Heart of my soul wants to race through the skies to get what I want, to reach what I need. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small, I reach so high to embrace it all. On the top of the mountain, my troubles so small, I reach so high to embrace it all.
Thank you so much, Pari. That was a beautiful dance. Now, I would like to invite Miss Evelyn Pace, President of United Nations. Miss Evelyn Pace is a graduate of an HBCU Bishop College with a Bachelor of Science, major in molecular biology and minor in chemistry. She also earned an MBA from the Cox School of Business Executive Program at SMU. Evelyn is certified for nonprofit management. She's committed to the mission of AMI and preparing the next generation of engineers and computer scientists. She spent over 35 years at IBM in a variety of roles, including software and service development. Ms. Pace, please come on stage. We would love to hear your message.
Where did you find that? Good evening, everyone. My name is Evelyn Pace, and I currently serve as president of the Dallas chapter of the United Nations Association, USA. So many of you are familiar with United Nations, but you may not be familiar with the UNA, United Nations Association. We are a movement of about 20,000 members across the United States, over 200 chapters, both based in our communities as well as on campus and in our high schools. We are dedicated to supporting the work of the United Nations, advancing the United Nations mission, and achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So I want to thank you so much for the invitation to come and share a few remarks. Very special thanks for the partnership we have with Brahmakumaris, Sister Ranjan, and the service team. I'm honored to be a part of today's celebration, celebrating women all over the world. They are smart, you know this, caring, strong, ambitious, powerful. They serve in many different roles as mothers, daughters, sisters, wives. They have many accomplishments as leaders, artists, activists, entrepreneurs, healers, engineers, athletes. We also celebrate the men who partner with us and the struggles we join together to overcome, with the mission of achieving equality everywhere, for everyone, every day. So the theme for this year's International Women's Day is invest in women, accelerate progress. Now let's just spend a few minutes thinking about the origins of International Women's Day. How many of you have seen the pictures of the suffragettes? The women in their white dresses, some had on their hats, they had protest signs, and they were marching for the right to vote, as well as other rights. So on March 8th, in 1908, women workers in the needle trades marched through New York City's Lower East Side to protest child labor, sweatshops, and to demand the right to vote. That was 1908, March 8th, 1908. So 116 years later, we're celebrating International Women's Day, which started in 1910. So while they started the suffragette movement around 1908, it was 1920 before women actually got the right to vote. Purple, green, and white are the colors of International Women's Day. Purple signifies justice and dignity and being loyal to the cause. Green symbolizes hope. And white represents to me the images of those women in their dresses marching down Manhattan for the right to vote. In solidarity, the solidarity of the women then and those who came after, who fought for equality, the the right to vote, better working conditions, equal pay for equal work, equal access. So today the world is facing multiple crises that are putting immense pressure on our communities. Wars, famine, climate change and its effect, the lingering impact of the pandemic have pushed an extra 75 million people into severe poverty since 1920. And we know that whenever there are calamities like this, catastrophes, that women and children are impacted more than anyone else. So achieving gender equality is more vital than ever. Ensuring women's and girls' rights across all aspects of life is the only way to secure prosperous and just economies and a healthy planet for future generations. There's an African proverb that says, if you educate a man, you educate an individual. But if you educate a woman, you educate a nation. Why is that? Because women, when they learn, they share immediately with their households, ones in their homes, their children, their extended families, making their house a better place to live. And then they expand into their communities, making their communities better, and then the state and the nation. So when you invest in a woman, you're not just investing in her, you're investing in the world. Let's talk a little bit about gender equality. Gender equality remains the greatest human rights challenge right now. Even in 116 years, with the progress that we've made, there's still so much to be done. So I wanted to share with you, I was reading the local paper, Dallas Morning News, and I was shocked, really. I had to read it again and again. And it said Texas is the second worst state for hunger with above average food insecurity between 2020 to 2022. Now we know Texas is a great state. We talk about it all the time. So how is it that we're the second worst? That means there's only one other state that's worse than Texas for food security for women and children. So I found where I want to focus my time. So investing in women is about taking the time to mentor. It could be helping someone tutoring, but we know that each one of us can play a part. So I'm just asking you to think now about where can you invest? What can you do? If you can't spend the time, money, other resources are always appropriate. So thank you very much for your time. I just want to celebrate all the women here, all the girls. I want to celebrate the men who support us. And I just ask you to find a place where you can invest in women so that you can make the world a better place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pace. That was a beautiful message and a very powerful statement that when you invest in women, you invest in the world. Our next speaker for the evening is Judge Clay Louise Jenkins. Since taking office in 2011, Judge Jenkins has become a voice for a stronger and more welcoming North Texas. In his first 3 years in office, he led the responses to public health emergencies like the West Nile virus epidemic, Ebola crisis, natural disaster, recovery from deadly tornadoes and flooding. As founding chair of the Enroll North Texas Coalition, he has led efforts to increase health insurance enrollment for the last 8 years to improve public health and reduce the burden on taxpayers who bear the cost for uncompensated care. Beginning in early 2020, Judge Jenkins spent much of his time responding to the COVID-19 global pandemic. He was the first leader in Texas to put restrictions in place to mitigate the spread of the virus to keep as many of our residents as safe as possible. His leadership skills and collaboration lent itself to forming key relationships with physicians, business leaders, superintendents, and clergy with key early in the pandemic. As the chief elected official of Workforce Solution Greater Dallas, Judge Jenkins is committed to help more residents get living wage jobs. In this term, Judge Lewis Jenkins is committed to improving access to mental health treatment to adolescents and families by partnering with clinicals and schools to ensure much needed assessments as available. I welcome Judge Jenkins on the stage to give us a beautiful message for women empowerment.
It's great to be here with you tonight. I'm not doing as many appearances lately. My wife is in the hospital. We are having a problem pregnancy, so I may not be able to stay for the entirety of this. I need to get back there. And she's one of those strong women. I'm lucky, I'm blessed to be surrounded by strong women. I just left the bedside of the strong woman to say hello to a strong 92-year-old woman who lives in our house with us to throw on this suit and come up here. And that's my mom. My mom's one of my heroes. My mom became a young widow, and along with when I was a small child, and along with my sister, my formative years were spent with a single mom working hard to provide for her two children. Because of my mom's sacrifices, my mom didn't get the opportunity to go to college. She left school and became a telephone operator on a military base when she was 16 years old. But because of her sacrifices, working two jobs, working weekends while we stayed with our great grandmother, both my sister and I were able to go to college because of the sacrifices of that woman. My life and our whole family has just been transformed by the gift that she gave us of education. Now, while my mom is certainly one of my heroes, her story is not uncommon. Women make difficult choices every day to provide for their families and for themselves. And most women who do that do it making on average 83 cents on the dollar of what a man in that same job makes. And many times those men are less qualified than that woman. And that gap gets wider for women of color, for women with small children. I saw that as a kid with my own mom, being denied opportunities at jobs because she had kids. And for women with any sort of a disability, we know that these compounding layers of discrimination against women with children, women of color, women with a disability leads to an even greater gap between a man with the same thing. All right. And so a report that was released to Congress just this week says that women don't get leadership positions or top pay, even in the industries that they dominate. I'm proud to say I look out here and I see two women who break that mold. Our former sheriff, who was a first in many things, and our present sheriff, has been a first at many things. And not only have they broken molds, but they've done that job as well as, or better, if you'd like to pass jail inspections, better than the men that surrounded them. So, we're very blessed to have that, and so many great women leaders here in Dallas County. Now, the higher women climb, the worse that disparity. Of course, it's better to make more money, but the higher you climb on the ladder, the worse that disparity becomes. A report also stated that women account for the majority of workers in a third of major U.S. industries, yet they're underrepresented among managers and executives in all but one of those industries. The speaker before me, Alicia, asked, how can we be next to last in food security? Well, it's not by accident that we are. Texas, through policy, leads the United States in knocking children off of CHIP. Texas is the largest state in the union. In fact, Texas has more human beings in it that are not on Medicaid right now that would be qualified for Medicaid expansion if we just take our share of the money than all the other states that are that stupid combined, right? And so when you have young moms with kids, none of them have any health insurance. The money that they would spend on food sometimes goes to junior's asthma medicine or mom's birth control. Those sort of things, and worse when people have underlying pre-existing conditions. And so it's not an accident. Also, one of the things that one of the coalitions that I chair does is try to encourage families with American children who qualify for SNAP, but maybe mom or dad is not documented, to go ahead and get their SNAP and their WIC for their children. But in this state, we have continued the policies of scaring those families into not applying for that food that their children, their U.S. Citizen children, are entitled to. And so as a father of a teenage daughter heading to college, and God willing, twins, including one girl, who will be here maybe in 5 weeks. Hopefully they'll wait that long. We're way before our due date. I'm committed to building a gender equal world. I was pleased to see in the State of the Union address last night that while our president said that he would not rest until every Israeli hostage came home to Israel, he also spoke, and I don't hear a lot of elected officials doing this, to the 30,000 people in Gaza who have died, most of whom are women and children, and almost all of whom, when you consider it statistically, are not Hamas terrorists. And so we as a country are doing what I think we're late in doing it, but I'm glad that we're doing it. We're going to build a port, and we're going to get food to those starving children and their moms and the other people there who are innocent victims of, a war created by a terrorist, started by a terrorist group, but the people that are dying are not terrorists. And so I'm pleased with that. And that is a way that this country can support women and children when women and children are starving and dying. That's one of the things that we can do. Let's see. I'm committed to hiring and elevating in the county qualified women in our workforce. In fact, entire executive committee, so whoever you talk to tell me about this, is a woman. The policy advisors that advise me on policy are women. Eugenia Castaneda led the effort for my office. I chair the Child Care Commission for Greater Dallas to get 100% tax break at the city and the county level for child care facilities who take 20% kids who are on the Texas Rising Star voucher. And that means kids whose moms and dads or whoever's caring for them aren't making a whole lot of money but need that quality childcare. And so much of the work done in my office is done by those 4 strong women. Everybody reports up with things to me through them. Your theme for tonight, invest in women, accelerate progress, is appropriate for this time. Some would argue that we should work towards a day when International Women's Day is no longer needed. I would say if I live long enough to see that day, we need to keep this day to celebrate those achievements. And until that time, we need to keep working together across religions, across race, across party lines, across countries to make sure that women have equal opportunities in this world. And again, I think I'm going to probably sneak out the back, but I do thank you very much for having me here.
Good evening. I'm Roy Cruz. Me and Sister Chen planned this event. I told her I will not be talking today, but thank you, Judge, for your presence. I know we are praying for your wife, and we hope to see the twins. May I invite the Q&A President, Ms. Evelyn Pace, Ms. Almas. We have 100% attendance of the speaker today, Ms. Tatiana. Our sheriff that I always see them in television, Ma'am Luby Valdez and Ma'am Marian, please, in front, and the Matthews and the other board members of the board to give. Can you see? Yes. Okay. So which way? All right. Over there. Okay. Thank you. Maybe on this side. Maybe that's right. Maybe come the place. Maybe I'm here to see my dog. Yes, absolutely. The first gift is from the author, Miss Tatiana, her book.
Judge, this is a book about an American woman working in Africa for the United Nations.
Thank you so much.
And a simple token from Brahmakumaris.
Thank you so much.
Famous calendar.
Thank you for this and for all the great work that you do. I really appreciate it.
Let's give a round of applause to Judge.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm headed back to the hospital. I appreciate your prayers and it's great to be with you.
Thank you.
Oh, probably that hospital.
Judge Jenkins. So nice to see you again, sir. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hope for a good outcome.
Honorable Judge Clay Jenkins, a big thank you to you for coming. In spite of the family emergency, you made time for us. So this shows your dedication to the community service. A big thank you to you. Our next speaker for the evening is Almas Muscatbala, community leader and co-founder of Faith Forward Dallas at Thanksgiving Square. As a community leader, she is leading her dream life to learn and serve. As an Ismaili Muslim, she was taught that her relationship with the divine is best expressed through her relationship with the communities of people, cultures, and faiths. In that spirit, she chose a life that empowers her to offer her most valuable resources, time, and her experience serving others. For more than a decade, she has been blessed and honored to serve on the board of directors for the Thanksgiving Foundation as a chair of Interfaith Council and a founding member of Faith Forward Dallas. Miss Muscatbala, I welcome you on stage.
Thank you so much. First and foremost, I want to say that I had a very busy day, and some people who are with me can relate to what has happened. But I just want you to know that when I entered the meditation center, this Brahmakumaris center, it was very centering. It was very calming. And so I think there's something special that's happening in this building. So thank you. I really want to kind of say that because I'm feeling very, very centered. And I also wanted to clarify one quick thing about my introduction, that I am the past chair of the Interfaith Council and I'm the past board member of Thanksgiving Foundation, but I'm currently serving on the Dallas Housing Authority as one of the commissioner, and I am also serving as the chair for Texas Muslim Women's Foundation, which is the event that we were this morning. Ms. Pace has covered some of the things that I wanted to say, but I will still go ahead and say it because I think the context in which I want to speak is a little different. So if it's a repeat, please forgive me, but I think it's important. I want to say that today we stand together to celebrate International Women's Day on the shoulder of Clara Zetkin, who founded International Women's Day in 1910, as you mentioned. She was a communist activist and advocate for women's rights. The United Nations started making the event in 1975. International Women, interestingly, I found this piece of information very interesting, that International Women's Day is a national holiday in some countries. And then in places like in a country like China, women are given half day off. I thought that was very, very interesting. But what's happening in US? In US, March, as you guys know, is the Women's History Month, right? It was interesting that I was at an event with Project Unity where we were doing this kind of race conversation. And I had a Black woman sitting next to me and she's like, I don't like the idea of, women just being celebrated on one particular day or, one particular month. So, while we are devoting so much time in kind of today's day, there are people who think very differently. So I just thought that was interesting. Here's what President Joe Biden had to say on his Instagram. He said, celebrate the legacy of sung and unsung trailblazers and advocates who have made the world a fairer, more just, and free place. As we honor women on International Women's Day, it is, as Jenkins said, it is very important to acknowledge some of the issues that are making women's progress difficult and hard. I think he talked about the discrepancy between the pay. I think he covered that. But according to the World Economic Forum, in 2023, the Global Gender Gap Index, which was published, has said that the full gender equality, if we want to achieve, it's going to take us 132 years. And there are some countries who are kind of making progress, which is Iceland, Norway, Finland, New Zealand, Sweden, Germany, Lithuania, Nicaragua, Namibia. Now, these also have reached only 80% of the gap difference, not 100%. And guess what? The Western countries were not listed on, which means we are nowhere close to filling up that gap. And if you want to know what the current gap is at 68.5%. Yeah. And as you know, that if at all you want to empower women, it is good idea to give them a pep talk and say, hey, you're important. But I think economic empowerment is a whole different deal. So if this is the discrepancy that we're looking at, then we've got some work to do. I also wanted to kind of lay out some issues, global issues, like women in the Middle East, Afghanistan, as you know, again, Judge Jenkins reference to the war in Gaza. So women in Middle East, Afghanistan, Iran, and Ukraine are still fighting for the right amid the war and violence. In Afghanistan, girls above primary school age remain banned from classrooms by Taliban. In Iran, many continue to defy the rules requiring women to cover their hair. And as I think it was from the United Nations said that women and girls in Sudan are being abducted and raped in areas controlled by the Rapid Support Forces. According to the NGO Girls for Brides, Malawi, I had to look up this place. Malawi is a landlocked country in southern Eastern Africa. It has one of the highest child marriage rates in Eastern and Southern Africa, with 42% of the girls already married by the age of 18. Anne Tropino is one of the 200 women across the world who are part of the Roman Catholic women priest movement, a group who are taking part in unauthorized ordination services to become priests in an act of defiance against the Roman Catholic Church. Yeah, we talk about equality. I guess women don't even have the right to kind of be a priest. Forget being in the economic space, right? So while we still grapple with this women issues, I also wanted to kind of highlight some positive things. As you know that I am a Shia Ismaili Muslim. So one of the inspirational women in my life has been Bibi Khadija, peace be upon her. She was the wife of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. She was one of the most powerful and influential women in Islam. She was a very successful businesswoman of her time and also the first individual to become Muslim. She was an entrepreneur of her time. Bibi Khatija exemplifies a Muslim woman of the past, but we've got some great examples in the contemporary context. Today's Muslim women like Rashida Tlaib, who serves as the US representative for Michigan, 13th Congressional District, she's making waves as one of the first Muslim women in Congress. Along with Ilhan Omar, she made her history by being the first Somali American elected to the US House. And she and her family came to the United States as refugees. So when you look at even the history in Islam, we need to travel and understand a long history between these two kind of contexts in which the women have referred to. I also want to take a moment and talk about in Muslim history, women have also played important material and political roles and performed religious functions alongside the prophets and imams. Hazrat Eve with Prophet Adam, Hazrat Hagar with Prophet Abraham, Hazrat Zulaikha with Prophet Joseph, Hazrat Maryam with Prophet Moses, Hazrat Maryam with Prophet Jesus, Hazrat Khadija and Hazrat Fatima with Prophet Muhammad. Now, I also want to say that by these women, I'm referring they're in the past. I do want to say that another person that has inspired me to be who I am today is my mother, who passed away 2 years ago. And she has been my rock in my life. And I continue to take the inspiration. In fact, I got delayed, small story, a side note, I got delayed. I wanted to be here at 5:30 so that I can really spend time with everyone because I was preparing something, a meal that we take to our place of worship in Jamaat Khana. And this is her legacy. She used to make this meal and she used to take it to Jamaat Khana. And I'm completely a new cook, on the block. Like I've started to cook only during COVID. And I lost her 2 years ago because she used to cook, meals for us. So just to carry forward that legacy, I devoted almost hour and a half cooking. And I called Rick and said, I'm going to be late. But the point I'm trying to make is that your mother, the first point of contact that we have in our life, and their kind of journey of life and their inspiration is the most powerful one that one can ever encounter. So in conclusion, what I feel, women power is boundless and women compassion is what the world needs the most. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Muscatbala. That was an inspirational speech. Our next speaker for the evening is Ms. Tatiana Androsova. She is the author and writer of 5 novels, representative of Thanksgiving Foundation, active representative of the Thanksgiving Foundation as an NGO to the civil society unit of the Department of Global Communications at the UN. As such, with the help of high-level staff of the UN, ensured that TGF and all NGOs were able to get extra time, that is 1 month, during the pandemic to complete their reports for a 2-year accreditation starting in 2021. She's also a board member of UNTD Foundation. As such, guided an exceptional graduate of UNTD through proper master's program in Geneva, Switzerland. That graduate has started working for the World Economic Forum. She's also a senior advisor to Peter Stewart. She is the senior advisor to the board, to the new president, and to the founder of Thanksgiving Foundation for National and World Program and Recognition. Welcome, Ms. Tatiana Androsova.
And I'm going to start by asking for the microphone because I don't ever go behind the podium. So what I'm going to start, I'm going to ask all of you who were born before 1940 to get up. All of you born before 1940. All right, so very few. 2, that's it. No, wait a minute, I'm not finished with the 2 of you. Okay, okay. Now, what is the biggest thing that you have seen in the change towards women or their rights in your time?
Working outside the home. Yeah, working outside the home and going to college, going to graduate school, and being more active in all kinds of organizations. I would say that.
Okay. Next, those of you born between 1940 and 1960, would you stand up? Ah, we have quite a few. I'm going to ask one of you to volunteer to tell me what is the biggest change. We have a couple of men. I'm going to ask a man, what is the biggest change he's seen for women? Come on, think.
I'm thinking, but it's not coming.
It's okay. Then we'll give it to a woman. How about the lady right over here?
I think education, everyone is more into education and more independent in all the aspects, financially and economically.
All right. Now, those people, you can sit down. Next, the ones born between 1960 and 1980. Stand up. Okay. All right. I'm going to ask the sheriff, does she think is the biggest change?
I think what I've seen is the opportunity for us to serve in those capacities that have been non-traditional, i.e. even the role that I serve in today. Absolutely, yes.
All right. Those born after 1980 until 2000. Okay. All righty. I'm going to, now who's going to volunteer to say? Okay.
Thank you. I think the biggest change that I have witnessed is that women are taking they are dominating higher positions in politics and Congress, and especially I do see women with disabilities, for example, taking on higher roles and being able to live productive lives. I feel like they are the ones who are controlling their own lives and making their decisions.
Okay. Now, anybody here born after 2000? Okay. All right, two of you. I'm going to ask the lady right in the back to say what she has seen.
I'd say a lot more people are, a lot more women are getting educated more and more. Although now I'm seeing that many women are losing rights more now. I feel like we're going back in time.
And by the way, we are right, especially if we consider Texas. And I'm going to start by saying something. I usually don't make a point, but today I am making a point. What I'm wearing all comes from France for one reason, because of the latest thing that was enshrined in the French Constitution, a woman's choice. That should be made by her with her head, her heart, her spirit, her values, her religion, and not dominated by anybody else. That's why I'm wearing all French clothes. Vive la France! Okay, I've always been a troublemaker in my life. Okay, I was a troublemaker in college, and I'll show you the result of it these days when I'm 76. I started running in college, and my first friend with whom I ran in college, she actually got me to run, was an African American girl. And Leonora, Lee for short, just told me, come on, we're going to go running. What running? I said. This was in the 1960s. And let me tell you, at that time, we were not even allowed to run the marathon because you know what they said? They said that women, certainly not meant to be able to even run a marathon. So think about that. The first year we were allowed to run in a marathon was 1972. I ran, and I was working in Switzerland in the United Nations in the 1970s. I used to run everywhere and had the farmers, because the part of Geneva that I lived in was at that time kind of half farmland. Now it's all built up, just like many areas in Dallas that were open before are now all built up. Well, the farmers used to stand there with their dogs and often with their pipes, looking at this crazy woman running. I still run. I'm 76. I ran a very short little 5-kilometer thing in Frisco for Thanksgiving. Now, that was very funny. I talked to everybody, but you can see that I'm a big talker. So I ran with everybody, was talking to everybody, and 2 weeks later got a little thing. I had won the competition in my age group. Well, but there was a payment to be made for that. Let me tell you, I now have something that Harry Potter has. That same day, I slipped on a stair. Uh-oh, and now I'm scar-faced. You know, Harry Potter was scar-faced, and so I have a symbol too. And I got another one with my new old car. That's a whole other story, not interesting for today. Okay, so I want to tell you, even in the United Nations, which I started with in 1969 in UNSCEAR, United Nations Scientific Committee on the Effects of Atomic Radiation, I was a substitute librarian for the summer, 6 weeks. Even then, in the UN, women with master's degrees used to be secretaries. And their bosses had less education than they, and they were their big bosses. It was very funny because if you were young and pretty and I guess I filled that category. The one thing which we were allowed to do was we could go in anytime into the delegates lounge and have our coffees there because we were cute for the delegates. These days, that's not the case. But I prefer these days when women are delegates and are part of delegations than that time. It was very hard in the 1970s. I became an interpreter. Do you know why? Not because I really trained as an interpreter. I did a 6-month program for it. It's because I had a master's and I was a candidate for a public, well, it's PR post in the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency. But they said, I was one of 3 finalists out of 46 candidates. Do you know what they said? Why I didn't get it? They said, you're young. You're going to get married. You're going to leave. We're going to lose all the investments we've made in you. In those days, they could say it to your face. So even in the UN, it was not good. Finally, after another, I went to the Fletcher School, which is a very famous school, which I was very proud to get into because I'm an immigrant with a Russian name. And in those days, it was the Soviet Union. So you can imagine that was a kind of, a blockage, but I did manage to get to the Fletcher School. After I got to Fletcher School, I went to the second management training program at the United Nations. We had 25 people in it. Guess how many women were in it? It was 1981. Take a guess out of 25. And they said, oh, we are including women. We're pushing the role of women. How many of us? No, not just me, but 5 out of the 25, they considered that was incredible. So even in the UN, the situation was not that great. It is so much better now. But as our young woman said in the back, one born after 2000, we are regressing in some ways because we are not so aware of what we have overcome. In order to prevent any backslides, we have to be aware of everything. And here I'm going to tell you, if you want to learn anything anymore about the role of women in the UN, well, I have not 5 novels out. I have 7. Out of those 7 novels, 5 are all about women in the United Nations in international settings. And I would say start with choices because it's an American girl, not even with my background. I had so many friends who didn't have my background, but were really, you're white, Anglo-Saxon American, but she has something great. This girl named Cleo, not Cleopatra, but Cleola, has a mother who is from West Virginia. I wanted to put in something different. And I knew a girl from West Virginia, therefore, she's part of that whole thing. Read that book. It's about Cleo being in Africa, working in Africa, in the UN, facing the problems that we women face in the United Nations, in international settings in the 1980s. But I also have other books. You can look me up. I have a website, Tatiana Androsova, and it's really about the UN. It's really about the world system. It's really how we women fit or do not fit into that system. Right now, it's going only until the 1990s, but I'm working on things that will bring us up to date. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tatiana. Our next speaker for the evening is Linda Evans, awardee of 2016 Peace Legacy Lifetime Achievement Award. Linda Evans has been an active member of UNA USA Dallas chapter for 36 years, founder of our refugee advocacy projects, including the Volunteer Guide to Refugee Service Agency in Dallas-Fort Worth and was the first recipient of the UNA Dallas Eleanor Roosevelt Lifetime Award, Achievement Award in 2018 for her previous and ongoing services. Ms. Linda, I welcome you on stage.
And I'm going to follow Ms. Tatiana's lead because as a teacher, my real job is teaching international students, graduates, undergraduates, and intensive English students at SMU. I'm getting ready to retire after 25 years, and we never stand behind the podium, but I promise I'm not going to come around and put you into groups in order to work on exercises in class. So you don't see me in the program because I was not sure I could actually attend tonight. And so just this week, I was able to confirm that my schedule would stay clear, and Sister Ranjan was kind enough to just say, come and say a few words after the other confirmed speakers. And so this truly is an honor to me. And what comes to mind to me to talk about regarding International Women's Day is collaboration. And women do this all the time as part of our everyday lives, as well as what we do in our professions and in our organizations. The term women helping women really is a thing. And even though there's some exceptions, there, for the most part, we want to assist those who are on the journey, to whatever their goals are in life or in their careers, and help women up with us. If we've achieved something or learned something, we can immediately turn around and mentor someone else, advocate for them, recommend them for promotions. That's what we do. And I feel that this room is filled with collaborators. In fact, many of them here. So you mentioned the Eleanor Roosevelt Award. Well, I'm not the only one, because after me came Almas, was next. Bill and Norma Matthews are Eleanor Roosevelt Humanitarian Lifetime Achievement Award winners. Nelda and David Reed, who are not here. Most recently, Tatiana was last year's award winner, and we have all been together since, well, I joined in 1988, and then over the years, many of the folks in here have been part of the United Nations Association, our Interfaith Council. I can't remember how long I've been with Thanksgiving Square and the Interfaith Council, but Bill was our chair for many years, and then Almas, and Sister Ranjan and Brahmakumaris have always been there. Now, International Women's Day, we have had an event in Dallas for the past 25 years or so. For the first 10 years, it was at the Women's Museum. The second 10 years or so at the Bathhouse Cultural Center. And Lupe was always there. And we also invited the UN Association to come speak and have exhibit tables. And we invited our refugee women's community. This was founded by Christine Jarris of the Women's Communities Association. And there was an essay contest called Words of Women that essays were submitted from around the world. And these were read at the event, and it was also a big party. Now, in the most recent years, our UN Association and collaborating partners are doing our own International Women's Day events. And it really is a joy to be coming home and doing this, with us and inviting others to collaborate with us. So very meaningful. International Women's Day around the world is celebrated differently in many countries, especially where refugee women are living and coming from. It's a party. I mean, it is just a celebration, a day off, similar to World Refugee Day, which is coming up in June. It is a chance to escape from the burdens of life, the dangers of life, and just have a day to rest and relax and be celebrated. In the United States and also in some other countries, it is a day for advocacy, where we want to do something to improve conditions for women here where we live and also for women around the world. So my passion and advocacy has been for refugee women and families. And that's where the volunteer guide came from, and creating a committee on refugees with the UN Association that has continued as a personal voluntary life's work since then. I'll probably never stop doing that. So I'm retiring from SMU, but I'm not retiring from what I consider to be my life's work. I'll just have more time to spend with you all. Another collaboration, I see Rania Rahim and Bob and many others here, whom I met at the Dallas-Fort Worth Airport in 2017 when the Muslim travel ban was enacted. And two of my SMU student colleagues, two brothers, their parents were among the detainees, and they started the DFW airport demonstration, in defense of those who were being detained. And that turned into an ongoing advocacy effort. On January 30th, 2017, our refugee agencies joined together at Thanksgiving Square in Faith Forward Dallas, and the Judge Jenkins and many others to come to Thanksgiving Square for a press conference and a candlelight vigil. And since then, many of us have stayed together. That's where many new friends and collaborators came from. I used to joke that as of around that time, my main exercise program was marching, and we had so many protests, but also advocacy, not so much protesting against, but advocating for what we believe in and advocating for people who were being oppressed, excluded, just it really has been a time that it was important for us to come together and defend and protect each other. So I think that those are the main points that I really wanted to bring out. And on a personal level, women and men who advocate for and collaborate with women are important to us personally. In my case, it saved my life, I think. I had a stroke in May. My husband passed away in July. And I'm very lucky. The stroke was mild. You can't see much of it, but it's there. I just to blame things on it when I forget anything, or if I'm klutzy like I've been all my life. I just blame it on the stroke. But it was people who came to my aid. My husband at the time was there and saw it happen, and he got me to the hospital right away. And then when he passed away, my family and friends, including what I call family by choice, many in the community came together and lifted me up, supported me, just a tremendous source of comfort. And we had a memorial service for him with my synagogue and Faith Forward Dallas and Interfaith Council, the Turtle Creek Chorale, the Women's Chorus of Dallas. We were both singers, and they became our family too. And just many individual friends. And so I'm still trying to thank everybody. I have nowhere near reached the end of the list of people that I know I need to thank for reaching out and helping out. And so as we go forward, anything that we can do to pay it forward, things, so many things have been done for me, and I want to give back. So, let's all just be our best supporters and collaborators, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. Our next speaker for the evening is Ms. Gori. Gori is a junior in high school. president of Project Pink Club. The club focuses on bringing women and their mental health. Recently, for Valentine's Day, the team made keychains and cards and cookies and donated it to a local women's shelter. Gori, please come on stage.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be addressing you all. Today, I'm just going to talk about feminism. The word feminism is widely misused. Misconceptions about feminism persist in today's society, often leading to misunderstandings and resistance. However, feminism is the belief in social, economic, and political equality for both genders. It's been a powerful force throughout history, challenging societal norms and striving for a world where all individuals, regardless of gender, have equal opportunities and rights. The history of women getting their freedom is extremely recent. In the first major rallying cry for feminism, the suffragettes fought endlessly for women's rights, most specifically the right to vote. Their movements and protests, both peaceful and radical, allowed for the nationwide right for women to vote in 1920. Many Ivy Leagues accepted women only between 1964 and 1977. Women couldn't have their own credit cards until 1974 and buy their own things without their husband or father having to sign off on everything they purchased. To make it even more clear about how recent the history is, this all happened in most of our parents' lifetime. Feminism has been instrumental in securing legal protections for women, such as right to vote, access to education, and reproductive rights. These achievements have not only enhanced women's lives, but also set important precedents for the broader pursuit of justice and equal rights. Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a Supreme Court justice who co-founded the Women's Right Law Reporter in 1970, which was the first U.S. law journal to focus exclusively on the rights of women. 2 years later, she co-founded the Women's Rights Project at the American Civil Liberties Union, once again making sure women's voices were heard in law. Appointed by President Bill Clinton in 1993, Ms. Ginsburg became the second female Supreme Court justice ever, a position she held until her death in 1920 and used to advocate for women's rights. There are so many other well-known women who fight for equal rights every day. For example, Malala Yousafzai, who was once a courageous teenager fighting for access to education for women in Pakistan. Ever since, Malala has been traveling the world advocating for education rights for women and children through her foundation, the Malala Fund. Oprah Winfrey, motivated by the unequal pay she received in the start of her broadcasting career, Oprah set out to start her own television show, and from there built an empire catering to help women grow, develop, and thrive. One of the generation's newest voices of feminism, the actress Emma Watson, captured everyone's attention with her moving speech in front of the UN, that launched a new initiative for gender equality. Watson's work for the UN reminded us all that feminism isn't just a fight for women, it's for men to join in as well. For decades, the gender wage gap has persisted, illustrating a stark disparity between the earnings of men and women performing the same work. Despite advances in gender equality, women across various industries still earn less than men in the same fields. Equal pay enables women to achieve economic independence, pursue their aspirations, and invest in their future. It also promotes social mobility and reduces the gender wealth gap, which has far-reaching implications for women's well-being, their families, and future generations. The latest issue in the overturning of Roe v. Wade that is taking back in time. It's so sad to witness the repetition of history for this generation. because we're supposed to be moving forward, but we're going back in time. Women's strife and achievement have paved the way for the next generation of women to achieve their dreams. As Nelson Mandela once said, freedom cannot be achieved unless women have been emancipated from all kinds of oppression. If we want to make the future even brighter for women, we must support other women as a whole. This will also help the world prosper and become a much better place. I wish you all a very happy Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gori. Now I invite Miss Regina Parker. Miss Regina Parker is going to sing a song for us, and the name of the song is I Am.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome. I will be singing a song, I Am, in honor of all the women around the world. It's a very powerful message. Well, the magic and wonder, brilliance and grace, love and joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strength, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form, and space. Welcome, excellence in every blessing. Sacred and pray what I see. I am what I want to know. I understand. All I wish I could and who I want to be. What I see, I am. What I want to know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I want to be. What I want to know, I understand. All I want to do, I can. Who I want to be. What I do. Welcome, magic and wonder, brilliance and grace. Welcome, joy, satisfaction, pleasure and strength. Welcome, essence, beauty, presence, time, spirit, form, and space. Welcome, excellence in every blessing, sacred and pray. What I see, I am. What I want to know, I understand. All I wish I could, yeah. What I want to know, I am. What I see, I am. What I want to know, I understand. All I wish I could, I can. Who I wanna be, I am. I am a seed, I am a tree. I am a flower, I am a bee. I am fire and I am wind. I serve love and also I give. I am loud and I am mighty. I am silent, I tread lightly. I'm a brave and monumental. I'm modest, I am gentle. I'm a student and I teach. I am the sand and I am a beach. I am ease and I am power. I am bridge and I am tower. Season, I am wild. I am mother, I am child. I am many, I am few. I am worthy, so are you. What I see, what I want to know, I understand. All I wish I can. What I want to be, I am. What I see, I am. What I want to know, I understand. All I want to know, I can. Who I want to be, I am. Just to be who I am. Just to be who I am. Just to be who I am. Okay.
Thank you, Miss Regina. That was a lovely song. Our last speaker for the day is Sister Ranjan. Sister Ranjan is the area coordinator of the Brahmakumaris Center in South Central North America. She came in contact with the Brahmakumaris in 1982 and started practicing Raja Yoga and serving with Brahmakumaris in London and UK. Former administrative head of Brahmakumaris, Dadi Janki, sent her to serve in Chicago in 19 few times, and also Sister Ranjan was an instrument to start center in Atlanta, Georgia. Then she became an instrument for the first inner space in Webley, London for 5 years. Knowing her interest to serve humanity, Dadi Janki sent her to Dallas, Texas in 1999 to start service in Dallas and around. Now she is an area coordinator of South Central North America. She has become an instrument to open 3 meditation centers, including a retreat place in Dallas and in surrounding states, Arkansas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. Sister Ranjan, please come on stage.
Good evening, everyone. How nice to hear everyone's speeches and everyone's faces. I feel like this is family get together. Yes, we feel like family because our aim is one, our purpose is one, and today is especially Women's Day celebration. And I'm so glad to be in this costume because actually body, gender is just a costume. But why I feel so fortunate? Because when I learned about these Brahmakumaris and coming from Indian background, Indian tradition, culture, I was born in Africa, India, and then England, and here, so I traveled everywhere and stayed everywhere, but have this education, this study, this spiritual knowledge has brought so much light in my life, and I thought I must do this to create this awareness, not gender awareness, because when we consider ourselves to be women, we victimize ourselves sometimes, right? And it creates so much limitation. Of course, there are tradition, culture, and religion, boundaries. But when we are spiritually enlightened, we go beyond these boundaries. We can find how we can nurture and empower ourselves spiritually so that we can serve ourselves, first of all, and how to do that. Because we want to do a lot outside, and of course, there are opportunities to progress, and women have made so much progress. We all heard about it. But we are missing one thing, and which I found in Brahmakumaris, that
I have to also nurture myself internally, spiritually, so that police, government, army, people, men would not be around me all the time. How to protect myself, how to make myself feel secure all the time, how to serve selflessly, altruistically. And as Sister Evelyn mentioned in the beginning, that how to become self-leader, first of all, to self-sovereign of my own senses, and my mind and my intellect, my personality, purity. So purity, peace, love, these are the innate qualities of the soul. And while dealing with the external world and progressing physically, externally, if we forget our inner self, it is like a driver driving a car and becomes very busy driving all the time and forget to eat and drink and sleep. What would happen to driver? So when we are spiritually aware, we have to balance. We learn how to balance both internally and externally. We cannot blame anyone. We heard so many things. We cannot blame anyone. This is how the world is going on, and now we have reached to the stage that no complaint, no blame, no criticism. But only thing we can all do together is empower ourselves spiritually, men or women. This is what God the Almighty would want us, that we all live together, we all should be united, we all should have so much love and respect for each other. So when women start learning to respect themselves, to be in the self-respect, they increase the inner awareness of how to see everyone as a spiritual being and learn how to extend this awareness, and then with pure feelings, we can change our attitude, change our vision, change, and we can change the world. And so how to do that, whether men or women, is fine. Inner nurturing is so important now. Inner empowering is so important now to live in this world, to deal with this world. And so how long we will continue to face the opposition and problems and situations. Now it is time. And this is what God wants all of us to do, to unite, to become empowered, and women has potential to serve the world. When we change, the world change. This is our slogan. Brahmakumaris are the world wide organization, started in 1936 in Karachi before India and Pakistan became separate. And then our headquarters is in Mount Abu, Rajasthan. It's our spiritual headquarters. And London is our main coordinating office outside India. We have 130 countries. We have centers in all continents and so many centers. I forgot the count of the centers actually. And each center is providing free education, spiritual education, learning meditation, and empowering self free of charge all over the world. So we are happy that you are all here today. And I'm not going to take too much time. It's 8 o'clock already. And we would all like to have group picture, right? Yes, we would like everyone to come forward and have a picture before dinner. I'm sure that you must be hungry now. So let's have a minute of meditation commentary, to finish. Is there anything else, Brother Roderick? Yeah, candle lighting after that. But I really thank Brother Roderick. He is the one who is our backbone and make sure that we are on the track. And so, yes, thank you very much for all of you. I don't want to mention names, but everyone's presence is so important this evening. And thank you very much for being here, taking time, especially all the speakers. I know that everyone is so busy. I would like to thank you for coming also. And everyone else, Bill, Matthew, and Norma, we are so close friends, and yes, we meet this way time to time, and we continue to fulfill our missions. And I really am happy to have you all here this evening. Before we do candle lighting, let's have a minute of silence with a commentary. That in this physical body, I visualize myself as a spiritual being, a being of eternal light, a peaceful and pure, loveful and powerful soul. I remind myself of these original innate qualities. And in order to nurture these qualities, empower these qualities, I allow my mind travel beyond this physical world in upper dimension. Upper dimension is the world of light beyond the sky, which is our spiritual home for all of us. The world of silence. And I connect with the Supreme Source, the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Light, the one who is the bestower of love, of peace, of happiness, the greatest protector, the purifier, the Almighty. And I become combined. I experience and I recharge myself with those divine qualities. And I hold on to these qualities of love, peace, purity, while it's interacting with everyone. I extend this awareness while performing actions and continue to nurture these qualities and bring peace within me and around me, in the community, in the country, in the world. I am a world server. I can send these pure vibrations to the entire world. Also serve the 5 elements. And use all my potential. Making my intellect clean, my attitude, my vision spiritual, and allow everyone to receive the same strength from the Supreme. Thank you, everyone. There is saying in India, Indian culture, when women are respected, they would give words to deities. Deities, one with the divine qualities. So all this world that we are facing now will definitely change. That is guaranteed. Thank you everyone for being here. And let's have a picture now, right? Yeah, candle lighting. First candle lighting, right? And Sister Linda forgot to share something that I want to just comment.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to blame this on the stroke too, forgetting things. So just very briefly, with collaborations, Sinmin Pak here sitting on the aisle, we've been collaborating for several years now on the issue of comfort women. This is the tough topic, that those who were held as sex slaves by the Japanese military in World War II, and we connect it to modern day human trafficking when we are advocating for this. So many were from Korea, but also China and Japan, the Netherlands, even the US, and only a few are left. They're in their 90s, and we are saying prayers and hoping for justice for those few who are still remaining, and in memory of those who are gone. And then many of us, I'm sure, along with me, are collaborating with our Jewish, Palestinian, and Muslim friends locally and around the world to try to bring peace and relief in Israel and Gaza. And so thank you for letting me add that.
Thank you, Ms. Evans. We're going to be doing candle lighting now, so I'm going to be announcing few names. So please come on stage. Dallas Sheriff Marion Brown, former Dallas Sheriff Lupe Walter, UN President Evelyn Pace, Miss Tatiana Androsova, Miss Muscatbala, Miss Norma Matthew, Bill Matthew, Linda Evans, Dr. Terry Foundation, John Alcanley, UNA USA, Marzouk Dini, Islamic Center of DeSoto, Emelda Warkarsel, UNAP, Ina Kayabyab, UNAP, Acton Pace, Media Diversity, Equity and Inclusion, Sister Lourdes, Robert Takes, Dallas Democrats, Nisa Mohammed, Islamic Association DeSoto, Texas. Founder EDSO, Shin Research Center, Zeta Tibene, Smiles Africa Organization, Victoria, Ovacom Media, Daniel Ichihara, Southern Methodist University, Regina Parker, Linda Ogechi, Ugule, Association of Nigerian Women Entrepreneurs and Professionals, ANWEP, and Brother Roberts, USL.
Everyone, please picture. Please come forward for the group picture. Please.